my name is Emma Claire Garrard.
I'm Marissa Tucker.
And we are occupational therapy students at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And we are going to share with you one of our favorite occupations, which is crocheting. But before we get started, I'm going to share the definition of occupational therapy and what we do as occupational therapy students. So we help people do the things they want and need to do through the use of everyday activities or occupations. We help improve the health and well-being of others and our clients through participation in activities that are purposeful and meaningful to them.
The occupation of crocheting is one that is typically considered a leisure activity. It's great for the end of the day to come home, sit on your couch, get a nice cup of coffee or tea, a scone or two, and just crochet away. For some people, it's a form of livelihood, so where they sell their projects and creations and share them with all those around them. With crocheting and with also a small help of social media, there's also a large community with it, where even though we're separated and may not can be with each other, there's still social interaction at play within that virtual context, where everyone is just sharing their projects, ideas, and even just new patterns that they messed around with. For Emma Claire and I, we have some personal reasons for why we enjoy it. For me, it's a great way to de-stress. Whenever I'm crocheting, I focus on nothing else but what's in my hands, and it's just a great way to clear my mind. Another reason is that I also enjoy making things for my friends and family members. Specifically, whenever a new niece or nephew is born, I enjoy making them a baby blanket and playing around with that. And now as they're getting older, they're also sending me requests for bookmarks or turtles or stuffed animals. So that's always great, and I love making those for them too.
So for me, crocheting is a meaningful occupation because I just like to be busy with my hands. If I'm watching TV or a movie, I have to have something to do, sort of just to help my mind just be mindless and just enjoy whatever I'm watching, or just to relax and, like Marissa said, to de-stress. It just really is an occupation that I just kind of enjoy and can relax while I'm doing it. For many others during this time of quarantine, during COVID-19, crocheting has been an occupation that has occupied their time. So whether people have engaged in this occupation, maybe that they've done in the past, or maybe beginner crocheters have learned how to do this as well, this has been a meaningful occupation during this time. And it can be for any of you that want to learn today. So, Marissa, what are we making?
So, today we're doing a pattern that is very beginner friendly. Washcloths, or in my case, a pot holder. So very versatile, it's great. The stitch that you're going to learn is known as a single crochet stitch, which again, very beginner friendly, and is actually really cool because all other stitches that you'll learn are kind of feed off of the single crochet. It's almost like the foundation of stitches. So if you practice this and get really good at this stitch, then really you'll master all stitches. It all just takes practice. You got it.
Okay, so we will show you what to do. So first, the yarn we will be using is this scrubby yarn. This yarn is called Scrubology. You can find this at Hobby Lobby. They also have other brands sold at other craft stores. But this is just a type of yarn that almost feels like a sponge. So it works great for making these dishcloths, and there are other varieties of yarn that you can use. There are 100% cotton yarn is another great option that works well for making dishcloths, but specifically today we will be using Scrubology by Yarn Bee. To continue with the supplies that we'll need, we will need a crochet hook. These come in a variety of sizes. There are smaller and larger. For a new crocheter, the best hook to use is probably a size like this. This is a 6mm J hook. This is a great size, especially for this craft, as this yarn can sometimes be a little slippery. I will likely be using this hook. This is a 5mm H hook, and it works great as well. So the first thing we'll need to do is learn how to chain stitch. So we will first make a slip knot. We can do this by making a loop. So we have the yarn crossed over. Here's our tail, and here's the yarn that leads to our ball. And then we're just gonna fold that piece back towards you so that our main yarn that leads to the ball sort of makes a line. Then we're gonna grab that and pull through, and that makes our slip knot. This knot is adjustable and can be made bigger or smaller to fit the size of your hook. So now we will begin our chain stitch. A chain stitch is the foundation of pretty much anything that you're gonna make. So this is the most basic stitch of crocheting, and it's important to know for any craft or project that you're gonna make. So for our right-handed friends, we're gonna hold the hook in your right hand. You can sort of just naturally hold this flat part if that's what's comfortable for you. You don't want to hold the hook too close to the top or too far away, as you kind of lose control at those points. But just right about in the middle is a comfortable place to hold it. So I kind of like to rest my finger, especially when we're making a chain, on our slip knot. If not, sometimes when you yarn over, it can move away and slip around. So I just kind of hold on to that with my right pointer finger, like so. And we're gonna take our main piece of yarn. Our tail is pretty much useless to us from now on. And we are going to yarn over. So that requires us to wrap the yarn around the hook, like so. And we are then, I kind of like to grab onto both the tail and the main yarn at this point. We are going to put this bottom loop over this top loop by using the hook. So we're gonna grab on, turn just a little bit so that we get it to go over, and that's our first chain. So at this point we have one chain stitch, and we are going to chain about 12 more. So we'll have 13 total. Sort of depending on the type of thread you use can change the pattern. The original pattern using 100% cotton calls to chain, I think maybe 27 or 30 chains, but when chaining that many on this type of yarn, it makes too wide of a dishcloth. So let's chain 12 more. So we've got one. So for this project, we will be doing a single crochet. There are a variety of styles of crochet. So there's single crochet, double crochet, there's a half double crochet. The list just goes on and on for a variety of projects that you want to make. But for the beginners, we will be doing a single crochet. So we're going to skip the first chain of our overall chain here, because anytime we begin, you're always going to skip one, and sometimes two depending on the stitch that you're doing, but since we're doing a single crochet, we'll just skip one. So we're going to make sure our loop around our hook is not too tight and not too loose. It's important when you do chain or work any other stitches that you keep sort of just medium tension. You don't want it too tight and you don't want it too loose when making your project. So we're going to place our hook into the second chain. So we're just going to go right here. We are going to yarn over. So as you can see, I still have my finger just kind of holding everything, and then my left hand has got a hold of the yarn and a hold of my working area, just so that nothing slips away. So we're going to put this middle hook, or this middle loop, over the top. So we're going to pull through. We're then going to yarn over and pull through 2. 1, 2. And that was 1 single crochet. So we're going to continue working down the line. So we're going to go into this stitch. You can kind of see, we're just going to make our little hole right there. So we're going to go into the stitch, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we're on stitch number 3, right there. Yarn over through 1 and 2, and into our 4th stitch. So we're in our 4th stitch, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're just going to keep working this until we get to the end. And there we have our first row. Okay, so now that we've completed our first row of single crochet, we are going to chain 1. So from here on out, it's important to make sure that you always have 11 stitches that you're working into. If you end up with more or less, then you have either added or taken away a stitch somewhere in your project. So anytime we turn to work down another row, we're going to chain 1. Kind of like we skipped 1 when we began, this is similar to that. So for other projects, you might chain 2 or 3 when you turn, but since we're working a single crochet, we're just going to chain 1. So we're going to yarn over and chain 1. Now, we're going to skip this chain. So we've got our loop around our hook and we've got that chain, and we're going to work into this right here. So there's our chain right there. We're not going to use it necessarily, but it helps keep everything in line. So we've put our hook through. As you can see, it's through those. We've got 2 loops on top. It's through that. So we're going to put it through, yarn over. We're going to pull that over. Now we've got 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, yarn over, and pull through those 2. And now we've started our second row of single crochet. So okay, and there is our second row. Again, this yarn can sometimes curl up a little bit, just the way that it's made, and that is quite all right. So we are now going to begin our third row. So just like before, we're going to chain 1, and then kind of skip that chain right there and go into our first hole. And we are just going to continue working this single crochet until you get the length of the washcloth that you want. Okay, so now that we've finished our last row, we're just going to add a little loop like this so that you can hang it or put it wherever to dry. So to do that, we finished our row. We are just going to chain. So I've already chained 1, so now we're going to chain 2, 3, 4, 5, and maybe a couple more. This is really up to your own discretion on how big you want your loop to be, and same goes for the length of your washcloth. So now we've got our chains, and that looks like that'll make a nice size loop. So we're going to do a slip stitch, which is pretty much just how it sounds. So we're gonna put our hook through just the last sort of loop that we have there, and we're just gonna yarn over and pull through both loops. So pull through, pull, whoops, pull through, and then we're just gonna chain one. So there we have our loop. So to finish our project, we are just gonna take a pair of scissors and snip this main strand from our ball here. And then we are just gonna pull that loop through and then squeeze it tight. And there you have it, a versatile dishcloth.